Welcome to the Rising Consciousness Show, 20 minutes of soulful insights and powerful tools to elevate your life experience and create with higher clarity, intention, and vision. I'm Tara Antler, intuitive healer and soul coach.
And I'm King Gabriel, spiritual teacher and practitioner. And we are the co-founders of Ascension Academy of Life,
a global center for spiritual growth, intuitive healing, and soul alignment.
Get ready to blast off.
Hey,
Hello and welcome
back
to Rising Consciousness Podcast.
We're so excited to be here with you today. Today I'm going to be interviewing Gabriel, actually, so he can share a little bit more about his journey and how his path brought him to this moment, this now moment as we're sitting here recording this podcast, bringing some valuable insights to you. And our intention is that it inspires you from the point that you're at now to be able to continue to move your dreams, your intentions, your soul movement and mission forward no matter what. Because I think sometimes on our journey, we get inspired. We feel a moment of a rush where we're like, oh my God, this is what I need to be doing. This is the thing. This is it. This is it. This is it. And we get inspired, but then sometimes we fall flat in terms of following it through. And I want to talk about consistency because that's one thing that I've learned through you as well, Gabriel, is just that ability to stay with something no matter what, to be able to follow it through to completion. And I was actually talking to somebody on the beach about this the other day, that she was also a manifestor from the human design perspective. And she was saying, gosh, like her ability to follow through, she has so many ideas and so many things that she wants to do. And she might start all of them, but to finish them is a whole other conversation. And oftentimes she feels exhausted because she's got all these open loops in her mind, right? Because things start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. Nothing actually comes to fruition. So I want to start off this conversation asking you first about that. Like, what does it take? Because I think this is going to weave into all the pieces that you're going to share today about your journey.
Yeah.
And what does it take for someone? Like, did you have that divine inspiration from the time you were really young that said, yes, this is the thing? Or did it change along the way?
Now, I must say that it's a great question. And the answer has to be multi-layered because it really is. It's a bit of both, in that the divine inspiration came from my core desire or my core urge. I believe that each one who is born here comes with a mission in heart or in mind or in spirit or whatever you'd like to call it. There's just that thing in you, that seed in you that wants to be expressed. And the same is true for me. I remember coming here, and this is from what people would call the other side. I remember coming here and knowing that part of the journey was to uplift the energy, to bring energy to this space, right? Light to this space, if you'd call it that. And I know I was the light coming into this space. So in coming in here, it's almost like there was that deep urge inside to uplift in some way. By the time I hit 3 or so through meditation, it got really clear that maybe it would be through music. I had this strong impulse towards music, knowing that music had what I really saw in music. And I'll just explain this a bit more. What I saw in music was the ability to change people's emotions, right? And move them in ways that words and conversation weren't quite doing at the time. So when I saw that, and I was only 3 at that time, I fell into that, and I knew somehow that music would be a part of my mission, right? And it did play a big part in my mission, by the way. So it was one of those like destiny points or milestones along the way to where you're headed. Yet the destiny or the destination is still the same. It was always to uplift the energetic space and to help in whatever way I could. So to answer your question thoroughly, yes, there was that divine spark or that divine impulse to move towards something and to express that something. And at the same time, there were these strategic points along the way that I knew I would hit or that I had to encounter in order to fulfill that grand vision. Yeah,
100%. And music has definitely been a part of one of the pieces that you deliver that message and that energy through the songs that you write, the intentionality, even the sound of the music, the melody. And so I love that came through for you as well. And talk a little bit more about when you discovered, okay, I'm going to get out there and actually help people and make a difference. Like, what landed for you then? What happened? What shifted or awoken something in you?
Yeah, well, again, to answer that question thoroughly, there wasn't a defining moment where I said, I'm going to get up and do this. It was written in the code. I was a teen, a young person. I remember I was a swimmer then, a young athlete. And this is where I learned the consistency, by the way, in all the sports I've done. I know that consistent effort brings results. But the point that I'm making here is that while I was walking, without even knowing it, I was already doing exactly what I've been doing. It's now become a business and a way of life and work and or whatever you want to call it, play or, expressing myself in the way that I meant to. But I'd always been doing it. It's only in hindsight, when I actually looked back on what I was doing and who I was being, that I realized I've always been doing this. There wasn't a time I wasn't doing this. I've always been introspective. I've always been listening and tuning into people and seeing how I could help, how I could serve, how I could help them alleviate any stress or problems with them. Always having multiple perspectives on whatever the situation is and not picking one side and choosing one side over another. All these qualities were always there. They've never not been there. It's just that now I'm deliberately using them, knowing that this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm here to do, and I'm doing it. So I only became aware of the fact that I was doing it later on, but I've always been doing it.
I love that. So something to really think about for yourself as you're tuning into this. Look at where your life has already been showing you what you're here to do or who you're here to be. Because like Gabriel was just saying, it's most likely already a part of what you are doing. It's just a matter of, do you want to amplify that and make it more of a full-time thing versus it's happening anyways, but do you want to bring it to the world in a very clearly defined, this is what I do, like hanging a sign outside your shop, right? And so because I know your journey also took you from sports to the US, from Trinidad. Then you became a UFC fighter. Well, how did that all come to pass? Because a lot of people ask me this question. They're like, how did that happen? Okay, like they understood the sports. They understood
that, but how did I end up fighting? Like, what is he doing fighting? Good question. And I can say this. I learned along the way that life is polar. All right? And when I say polar, there's this divine dichotomy to things where you might look at things and say everything should go in this box and fulfill these check marks if it's right. But life gives us lessons in different ways. And what I've learned is that I can't be closed-minded to any way that life wants to carry me in order for me to learn what I want to learn or what I need to learn, right? So there was a point, to answer your question even better, when I was, I'll just jump back to teen years for a bit here. But in the teen years, when there was religion and stuff in the picture, there were various things being taught to us that on a level of true focus on my inners, on my energy, I realized that it wasn't really resonating with me strongly. And when I would express these things, at the time, certain people would watch it like crazy because it wasn't what was being said elsewhere. But later on, those same people came back to me and said, wow, you were saying exactly that way back then when you were like 13 and all of this stuff. And it's good to see that. Fast forward into what I'm actually speaking about here with the fighting. There came a point where there I was at Agape International Spiritual Center already, by the way. I believe that's where I was at the point. A friend of mine who worked with me at one point he was a personal trainer and I was the general manager at the time. He saw me training, right? And the way that I trained was I would do a bit of mixed martial arts and that sort of stuff. I had already done that back in university because another friend of mine pulled me into that to just train. It's a long story, really. But this is how I ended up in the ring. He sees me, comes to one of the events that I'm doing and I'm singing and everything. I was singing live, actually. It was me doing a solo act. And after that solo act, he had in his mind, because he saw me fight before, he had in his mind, I want to see him actually take that further, right? So there he comes with the idea, and being myself, being open to experience, I say, you know what? Why not? Next thing, the Monday right after that, I swear it was one weekend, the Monday right after that, I go into the gym. start training and everything. Next thing, I'm up at Legends MMA in Hollywood. And the rest is just history. Next thing I know, I'm fighting for real, and it was just a little thing. And I was good at it, because, again, the consistency of effort was there, right? Anything I take on and I put my mind into, I'm just going to do it 100%. I'm all in. And I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to go through that experience of learning. So right there, I ended up doing it and ended up going pro in a short space of time, right? And the culmination of that, though, was when it finally arose in me that I didn't want to hurt anyone, right? And I remember it in this way. I'll give you guys a short story here. How it took place was I got in the ring and I'm actually fighting, a real life fight here, right? And I throw a head kick that I could have clearly landed. But before it landed, I pulled it back, right? So I didn't really want to hurt the guy. That's really what happened, right? It just touched him like a feather. I pulled it back. And I realized it wasn't for me because he was trying to hurt me, obviously. And there I am with this idea of not wanting to hurt somebody during a fight. You can't have that if you're a real fighter, right? So that's what changed my mind. And that was the end of it for me. I realized I didn't want to. It's not that I couldn't. Obviously, you could do anything you want to do. But it wasn't my deepest desire to go out there and hurt anyone in that way. And other people do it without a problem. It wasn't for me. So that's when I stepped out of that and continued with my journey. But it taught me something. It taught me who I was in relationship to that. Because I'd been through a lot of aggression and other things in life before that. But to deliberately set out to just hurt somebody is not my thing. If the need is there, I will do it if it's necessary, but not just for a game or whatever. So that was a defining factor for me. And it let me know a lot about my innards, about my inside. And I continued with the journey from there. I don't want to hurt. I want to help. Yeah,
that's powerful.
Yeah.
And there's something else to highlight there.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we hear this on the journey from clients that they might be in a current position or a job, or maybe they started something and they were passionate about it when they said yes to it. And then, like you were saying, a certain number of steps along the journey, you lose the steam for it or you lose the passion for it. And I think it's really important to distinguish and discern between, are you bored and you need a rebirth, right? Like if you were bored and you're like, oh, okay, well, I just maybe need to learn some more techniques or tools, and then you get back in the game again and you go again. But when you have a fundamental shift within yourself, that all of a sudden something truly is not aligned with you anymore, like your soul is crying out or your soul is saying, no, like absolutely not. That's really important to pay attention to. And that's different than sticking with something. Like if Gabriel would have got that message, but then because of his consistency to stay with it, would have just kept going, he would have been out of alignment and out of integrity with himself. Because his soul was saying clearly, like, I don't want to hurt. I want to help. Right. So that's a huge paradigm shift for someone to go through. And I want you to be aware of that for yourself too, because I think sometimes we misinterpret if it means I'm actually supposed to stop the thing, or does it mean that I'm supposed to rebirth it and revamp myself and go again and stay with it? And so I think that that's really important for people to discern and distinguish, right? Because that calling to do something different, help instead of hurt, that's clear. That's an identity piece. That's a major shift in what you're doing, who you're being, and it's a clear yes and no. The other one is more of a, like, I don't know if I really want to keep doing this, but I think I do. I really do. And you see other people doing the thing and you're like, gosh, I wish I could be doing it like that, or I want my thing to be like that. But then maybe I should just stop. Or maybe fear comes in or the ego comes in and says, are you really sure that you want to keep doing that? And you're like, I don't know, maybe I should stop. There's all these like internal dialogues that start to happen. And I want you to pay attention to that, because if that's the case, then it's most likely ego that's popping up to maybe stop you or prevent you from growing to the next version of yourself. And maybe it doesn't mean that you're supposed to stop and change directions. Maybe it's that you're to refine and grow and go again. Right. So I think it's important to discern that if you ever get to one of those crossroad moments, like what Gabriel was talking about, because sometimes there is the clear thing of like, nope, your soul is telling you now go in this direction, and I think that's important. So then you were at Agape. You were a part of the choir at this point?
Yes. And an independent practitioner. Yes.
And so you started seeing clients at that point as well. And I mean, you guys, if you've ever been to Agape, like Agape is this beautiful space that at any given point, there used to be like 6,000 people.
Thousands of people in there.
Yeah, in one service. And so you were holding the energetic space. So talk to everybody about what that was like to hold that sort of energy, whether it was in the choir, whether it was one-to-one, or whether it was like for the whole congregation, for the whole people.
Yeah. Well, I can say this. The holding of the energy, or holding vigil, as they would say, was more about recognizing the divinity of the people that were there. And I remembered when I first stumbled upon that. It was this one day, it just came to me because, honestly, when you're in a space like that, it's almost like the vibration you're in gives you insight. You just have divine insight come through a lot. And the way it came to me was through ushering at first, because you do volunteer while you're there as well. I realized that greeting the people that come into the place is a special event. When you see a person walking in, you have a choice to watch them, assess them, and all of that stuff, or see that this is a divine being walking towards you and see that light in them walking in. And I started to do that. That's what came to me. And when I started to do that, the joy that I felt in being of service and everything started to magnify. And that joy vibration that I was feeling, I promise you, started to extend off of me and emit to fill the entire place. And that's sort of how this holding vigil took place. It was a change in vibration and a change of view of what these people were. And so the entire environment was permeated with that sort of energy. That's what we were giving off. And that is what vigil is. It's a shift in the vibration of the energetic environment that you're in by a shift in yourself or your view. And that's what started to happen. Yeah.
And at what point, so did you started to see clients then too?
Yes. Yeah. Well, the client seeing thing, again, that was one thing that just took place. It was something that happened naturally. People just started to come see me, right? Because they saw the steadiness of the consistency of my vibration. I wasn't shifty here and there all over the place. They could see that. So they would come to me naturally because they saw the stability there. And that's how I started to get clients and became an independent practitioner, because if you see something that's a rock, something that's steady, you're going to go stand on that rock because you know that's a solid foundation. And so that's how people started to come to me more than anything else, because at that time, I was not shifty back and forth or anything like that. I was stable and steady. Yeah.
And even though there were a lot of external changes in your world, because during that time there were so many external changes in your world. So I love that you talk about stability, even though there were so many changes external. So I think that's another key point to highlight, because I think a lot of times people will use that almost as a reason to not fulfill what they're doing, because the world seems shaky. Something just happened external. Something just happened to the house, to the car, to the dog, to the thing, to the relationship, to the whatever, my bank account.
And in LA, for most people that pass through there,
everything's transient.
Everything is transient, right? It's like, rent. Rent is like the biggest conversation for most people when they're first there, right? But then, you sort things like that out as you start to stabilize, right? And that's what was happening. Things were becoming more stable. So even though there were hiccups here and there was always that inner stability, and that allowed things to always work out, right?
And that's key to really notice, because again, I really want people listening to really start to create that stability no matter what, to continue to walk the path no matter what, because the external world will change. It's shifty all the time. But that inner stability that you're talking about, that's what allows you to move through those waves, those growth moments, the highs, the lows, and everything else. And then you find yourself soaring at a certain point.
Yes.
Right? So let's finish off this conversation with, what does it look like now in the place that you're at now, from then to now? What's changed? What's elevated? And what do you love about now in terms of the work that you're doing?
Yeah. So to address that properly, when it was there and then, there was a joy to doing what I did, right? That joy has not been lost. It's simply been converted into a different experience. And the things that I'm joyful about now are different to the things I was joyful about then. That's what I can say. But it's the same being, the same energy. And I look back on some Facebook pictures today, by the way, and I was like, whoa, that was me. And, you look back at things like that. I'm like, whoa. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. Now I have family. I have beautiful kids that I love. I have a wife that I love, that I get to be with as well. And the environment is different. The things I'm excited about are slightly different too. But the same inner joy is there. The view of life is still there. And now I get to do it in a way where the people that I'm dealing with deliberately are coming to me for that because they know that's what I'm about. Whereas in the past, it was more just a feeling they got to gravitate towards me that led them to wanting to work with me. Now, they already know, based on the track record, based on the past, based on the history, based on who I've helped over time, that this is the person that I go to for this.
And
this
what is
person
this?
can help me. This spiritual growth, advancement in any sort of area, relationship-wise, financial-wise, these sorts of things that you can use your spiritual technology to grow and to expand upon. That's what we and I am good at. And so this is what people expect and they come for. And I'm happy with that. It's joyful to be able to present that in the ways that we do with our programs and with our work, and to be able to know that people are reaping the benefits of it, because I love hearing the testimonials and the people that come forth and say, this is what happened. I tried this on and this is what happened. Wow. It's a good feeling to be able to do that consistently and to help others consistently, and to have the framework to allow those people to find us more easily as well. Right? That's really what it's about, to have that framework so that those who may be in those dark places once in a while and not know where to go, now know where to go. They know where to find us. And that helps. Because I can remember bouncing up some people who, life puts you in positions to help people always. But it's a lot easier when that person can find you more quickly than going through just, a random connection space and hoping that things would work. It's like, here, this is who I'm looking for. I found this person good. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And what would you say two of the most amazing results that you have experienced or that clients have experienced that you got to witness?
Well, I've witnessed the remission of illnesses that are not supposed to be able to be alleviated or in any way cured. And so I've witnessed at least two of those directly, right? And when I say at least, I mean really at least, because it's several. Some would write in about it, but I mean like actually witnessing from one day, this is the situation, they think that things are going to be really, really bad, and literally maybe a few days after they come back and say, it's all gone, it's all disappeared, doctors don't know what happened, they have no explanation for it, all of these sorts of things like tests and blood tests and all that stuff come back clear completely. So seeing that has been amazing. I would say that that's one of the key things. And then we always have things happen in terms of relationship and finances and those sorts of things. But the healing aspect of things where you see people move the physical from one area to another completely, those are always astounding to me, because health is something that maybe some people don't really get the value of it. Some people kind of grasp it and they put other things before it mostly. But your health is highly important. You don't enjoy life as much if you're unhealthy. If you're hurt or anything like that, just think about it. If you've ever been hurt in your life in any way, it's a whole different view on life. It's like you're viewing it through the pain. And I love to see people come out of that pain and start to live again, start to appreciate the beauty that they see in life, because now their eyes are seeing clearly again. So to answer your question, there are many incidents like that, but the ones that really strike deep are the ones entailing people moving things. Like, I'll give you a quick example of a real one that's, nobody will believe it, but it happened either way. When people have HIV and stuff like that, you expect that does not go away. Nobody ever says that go away, right? I've seen people come in with a positive test, come back a few days with a negative test, like if it was never there, right? So, to be honest, that's things that are kind of unexplainable according to science, yet they occur, right? So, yeah.
What's one of the most powerful spiritual things that you've seen and witnessed in this work?
Okay, well, witnessed as in external, I've witnessed many, many things, but I would say the most profound experience I've had, and this one strikes me as soon as you speak about that, has been an experience where, while meditating, and this occurred a few times but the first time it occurred was, to me, the most profound. While meditating, everything disappeared. And when I say everything disappeared, I mean everything disappeared. Nobody, no nothing. But all that was there was this beautiful liquid light that was everything. And what it felt like was pure fulfillment bliss. That's what I had to label it, because that's the only parallel in terms of my understanding that I could bring to it to explain it. And when I say fulfillment bliss, I mean there was no reason for joy. There was no reason for the bliss. There was no reason, nothing to point to, nothing to say it's coming from here or it's going to there. It was just that. And that was all there is. And it was just pure bliss. The main point about it is that there was no reason for it. And that woke me up to something. In the world, all our things are conditional upon situations, upon things, upon people. But the reality that I saw in that experience was that there is no condition on you, on your energy, on the thing that is. There is no condition on it. Joy is just there. And it just is. Right? And there's no need to try to explain or define it. It's just happening. And can we tap into that? Well, yeah, we always tapped into it. Can we be aware of it is what I saw. Right? So that transformed me completely, I would say, because before that, it was always trying to reach for something in order to have that occur, in order to finally be happy, in order to finally make this goal that is my goal to achieve, or some destiny or something like that. And now I know that I can begin there. I can begin in that state and then express from that state exactly what I would like to experience, not because it's a need or something I must have in order to be happy, but because I am already happy and I choose to express that in the way and have fun and express, enjoy, and just have it be. And that's okay. That's perfectly okay, because I'm not less or greater by its occurrence. That's what happened. Yeah.
Anything else that you want to share before we wrap that comes to mind and heart?
Yeah, always. I would like to share that if anyone is a person that's really looking to make strides forward spiritually, not just talking about the spiritual or reading a lot of books that people here have pondered and come up with in their own ways, but really wants to take rapid strides towards whatever it is that your soul is up to, it's always wise to connect with people who are putting that as their priority as well, right? If that is a priority for you, just like if you're a musician, it's great to hang around other musicians and get the feel of that. If you're a spiritual person and you're heading on a path that's truly spiritual, then align yourself with that as well. Align yourself with people who really have that as their priority, So that's what I'd like to say. The alignment is key. And it's not that anything is not spiritual, but those who have it as a priority and really put it first tend to fall into that space that I'm speaking about, of knowing that they are guided, they are led, they're inspired, they have a call within them, and they must fulfill that call, right? So they remind you consistently of where you're headed to, because they're headed there with you. They hold hands with you and we walk together. Right, so that's what I have to say. That's my words.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah. And if you are feeling that call to do some deeper work with Gabriel and I, we have an amazing masterclass coming up at the time of this recording, in about 5 days. Yeah. And it's called The Waves of Abundance. And it will be available even after. So if you're catching this podcast in a week and a half or 2 weeks or a month or a year from now, this masterclass will still be available.
Yes.
And because it's a paid masterclass, you have lifetime access to it. It's called Waves of Abundance. And we're going into the energetics of abundance, the spiritual energy of abundance, and then also how to bring the energy and the spirit into physical experience. Because moving a mission forward living your life's path, following the call, listening to your higher purpose, it also requires having the physical resources to be able to continue to do the things that you love to do. It's just easier when you have the waves of abundance in your life than if you're worried about taking care of base level foundation. And so if you're in that space and season where you want to have a spiritual boost, you want to connect higher to the energetics of your purpose, your mission, and then have the resources follow, connect below. I'm going to post the link below in the show notes. Click the link, register for the masterclass. You'll have lifetime access to it. It's going to be really powerful. There's 4 live sessions, then there's a live Q&A, and then we might do some bonus sessions afterwards. And this is really going to kickstart things. We heard from one of our clients who's in our Actualize Mastermind, which is part of our Light Leadership program. And we gifted them this masterclass because they've been with us for a good 12 weeks now at a higher level investment. So we said, as a gift, we want to gift you this. And I just listened before we started to record this. One of the clients reported back and she said, oh my gosh, she's like, thank you so much for gifting us this. She's like, I got to tell you, the moment that I heard that we were a part of this, it was like something opened up magically inside of me. And all day today, I've been receiving all these waves of abundance. They're just coming, like magic money is just coming and it's coming. I said, yes. And she's like, I know that was the intention. And that was the intention that we set, that the moment somebody registered, we would hold them, each of them, in a very special, beautiful, unique, high vibrational bubble of abundance. Because just like Gabriel was talking about holding vigil, there's something very powerful to that. When you enter a field where people are holding an intentional space, whether it be for healing, transformation, elevation, clarity, harmony, abundance. There's something really powerful when people are holding a space for you and you get to step into that field. If you're open to receive, magical things start happening. Life gets to be easy and flowing. You don't have to push so hard. You can still stay consistent. I think that that's important. And it's so much easier when you have a consistent flow of abundance coming into your life. So it's not the feast or famine. You get to have this steady, beautiful flow of abundance. So if that's something that appeals to you, click the link below in the show notes. And we'll see you in the masterclass. And even like I said, if you're listening to this in a year from now, if you still click the link, you'll get access to the replays and the recordings. And it's a powerful, powerful experience coming into this with us. Anything else that you want to share?
See you inside.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining us today on another episode of the Rising Consciousness Show. For more high vibration conversations, meditations, energy activations, and tips and tools on creating your most exceptional life, we lovingly invite you to connect with us at academyoflight.ca. The website is www.academyoflight.ca. It is time to create your heaven on earth experience, and we look forward to sharing this beautiful journey with you.
You're listening to Rising Consciousness, yeah.
Woo!
Woo!